We're on Norcal Cycling's second channel, Couch to Crit training vlog. Let's watch and I'm going to give my thoughts as we go along.
What's up guys, welcome back to Norcal Cycling 2 and welcome back to the Couch to Crit vlogs. If you're new here, these are weekly vlogs that we post every single Wednesday on this channel to document my journey from this guy to hopefully winning a crit this summer. Today we're...
Alright, let's go back. This guy. Pretty out of shape, not gonna lie, to winning a crit. Fair play, good goal.
Okay, just had an amazing lunch and just like that we're back on the road. Wow.
Sandwich for lunch in the middle of a ride. If it's an endurance ride, doesn't really matter. I've got the ride here from his Strava. This is him if you want to follow him, Ethan Jones. Total ride time, 3 hours, 40 minutes. And trick on Strava, if you go down here and you press this little clock icon, you can see the graph with all the elapsed time. So you can see here, it would normally look like that. So this is where he stopped for lunch. Just fine on an endurance ride, doesn't matter at all. So yeah, that's just, he started the ride at 9:46. So he's had to stop for lunch, which is all good.
I do want to talk about something real quick, and that's the title of this video. My goal to double my FTP in 1 year. Now, most of you probably know that if you're following along with the Couch to Crit series on the main channel, that when I started riding back in August, my FTP was 192. With that being said, I want to try to double it by August of next year. Like, I know that's a pretty unrealistic goal and probably not achievable to get to, what would that be, 384? Like, that'd be really freaking hard, but, and, you know, a lot of that has to do with genetics as well. But, I don't know, I thought it'd be kind of a fun challenge and just to see where I get. Now,
that, I agree. That's gonna be near impossible. 190 FTP to 380 in 1 year? Not gonna happen. Not gonna happen. Even if you had more than a year, even if you gave this guy 3 years, out of the population that cycles, there's probably maybe 1% that would be able to get to a 380 watt FTP. And that's also just a raw watt number. I don't know how tall Ethan is. I don't know what he weighs, and that would also affect it. So even if he was in that 1% that has the genetics that could do that, it also depends on weight. So like if he weighs at race weight, if he gets down to, let's say, 68 kilos, even in that 1% is not going to be able to get to 380 watts. So I would say, what would be a better goal for Ethan? I would say, as a big goal, maybe say, let's get to Cat 1 level in a year. That would still be extremely hard, but it would at least be somewhat more achievable. And then sort of the power you're looking at to get to Cat 1 level, let's say he gets down to 70 kilos, if we use 70 kilos as his weight, then you'd be looking at 330 watts, I would say. That would probably be a very difficult challenge to get to, but something that would actually be achievable. 330 watts, Cat 1 level fitness. Now, he's not going to get to Cat 1 level competition-wise because in the US you need to get upgrade points. So he's probably not going to get to Cat 1 in terms of points, but Cat 1 level fitness, 330 watts at 70 kilos is going to be, you know, pretty comfortable in Cat 1. Not going to be probably not riding off the front and winning, but would be comfortable. So I'd say that's probably a better goal. 380 watts, you're absolutely dreaming. No way he's going to get there. It's just not going to happen.
In order to even attempt doing that, obviously we gotta follow the structure that is written out for me pretty much to a T. As some of you know, I am following the Couch to Crit Masterclass plan, which is why I'm doing just a big Zone 2 ride today. If you guys want to check out the plan, it is linked in the top of the description down below. I urge you guys to check it out. And that's the training plans that I'm following right now. Now, the only difference between
So the only thing, it's not just following the plan which is going to be important for him. He's obviously going to have to follow some sort of plan and structure to his training. But with these sort of massive, lofty goals, it's more than just following the plan that's going to be important. Because anyone can just follow the plan. It's the recovery side that's really going to be the challenge, especially for someone who doesn't have a training experience. I don't think, it didn't look like he had any really prior endurance background. So actually just getting the sessions done is base level. That's not really the be all and end all here. It's having the lifestyle to recover from all that, and then to be able to overload 3, 6, 8 months down the track and absorb that training, which is going to be the challenge. And then do it while he's trying to lose weight, because he's still got weight to lose. So that mindset of I just need to complete this training, I think is if you're looking for a 20 watt, if he wants to go from 190 to 220 watt FTP, sure, yeah, you just tick the workouts off and you'll kind of get there. If you want to go from 190 to 380, it's your life has to change to do that. It's way more than just following the plan.
I'm doing and what's written in there, and Jeff talks about this in the courses, that I'm adding some more zone 2 to my training plan. And the only reason I'm doing that has nothing to really do with performance. That won't help my performance that much. It's more to do with a fitness standpoint. And
okay, so he's taking one of the plans in the Couch to Crit plan course, and he's adding more volume, which I would agree. That's the sole primary focus to get from essentially untrained to elite level fitness is volume. There's no way around that. Again, if you want to go from 190 to 240, yeah, you can just focus on intensity, do sort of 7 or 8 hours a week, and you'll get that jump. To double your fitness, it's volume. There's absolutely no way around that. So good that I feel like he is on the right track by focusing more on volume, which is going to be endurance, zone 2 work. It's just the only way you're going to achieve that. But even a year, it's not long enough. Let's say he did have the genetic ability to get to 380 watts. You're probably looking at 3 to 4 years of high volume training to do that. Because he'll get to, even following this, he'll get to probably 280 to 300 watts and will plateau in a year. Because it's just not long. Your body can't, the slow twitch muscle, the endurance capacity, all that aerobic activity is very slow to adapt. It's not like increasing your sprint. It takes such a long time. So it's more of a doubling FTP is a 3 or 4 year process, if it's even possible. It's not a year. So, but he's on the right track with the volume being the main focus.
And as most of you know, I am pretty fresh off a weight loss journey, so my metabolism hasn't quite adjusted to being the weight that I'm at yet. So I can still eat like crazy and very easily put that weight back on, which is why I'm adding zone 2 to kind of help counterbalance that, helps me burn some extra calories for the day, kind of helps my metabolism level out, which should take hopefully about a year or so. But yeah, that is...
I'm actually not sure what he's getting at here. So he's saying because he lost weight recently, if he eats more, he'll put weight back on. That's true for everyone, not just someone that's recently lost weight. That's just the basic of weight loss. So I don't think even an experienced athlete is immune from that. And then he's saying he's going to take about a year to level out his metabolism. There's not really any evidence for that. In the sense that if he loses weight and now he's lost weight, it'll somehow be easier for him to maintain. He's still going to have to eat the diet that got him to that level of weight loss, and the calorie intake is going to be the same. It's not like a year later you can suddenly then just start eating more calories and not put weight on. So I would say that's probably the other big thing that Ethan's probably going to struggle with as someone who doesn't have a training background. Is going to be the diet. So you can tick off all your sessions and you can follow your plan, but eating a diet that's going to keep him healthy and sustain the type of training he's going to need to do to double his FTP will be very, very difficult. And going back and looking what he looked like at the start of this, he probably doesn't have that experience, the discipline, and probably even the knowledge to know what to eat sustainably to maintain this for a long period of time. So he's lost his weight, that's good, but keeping that off for 1, 2, 3 years as his FTP increases is going to be very, very, very difficult.
The goal is to do our best to get to 384 and just see what we can do.
I just don't see the point in that goal, actually. I like having a lofty goal, but having a 384 watt threshold number in his head, I don't get it. It's not It's not gonna happen. I'd recommend getting rid of that goal. It's not based in any reality, so
Again, don't really know if that's achievable or not.
it's not achievable.
I'm sure many of you in the comments will let me know if that is just absolutely crazy of an idea, but just a thought. I will do my best to update you guys with power numbers and FTP and all of that throughout this journey. I'll do an FTP test every
Use 330 watts. Ethan, use 330 watts at 70 kilos. I'm not 100% sure if 70 kilos is a realistic weight for you, but that would be, that's still under 5 watts per kilo FTP, and that's still a level where you're going to be able to race Cat 1. I don't understand why, getting to 380 is like an elite domestic pro level. It's not realistic for you to get to. Go 330. That's Cat 1. It's probably achievable without being a sort of a genetic outlier. So I would go with that.
5 weeks. And yeah, thank you.
Hold on.
I will do my best to update you guys with power numbers and FTP and all of that throughout this journey. I'll do an FTP test every 5 weeks. And yeah, thank you again for being here for this journey.
FTP test every 5 weeks. I would sort of push back and say why. What is the point of the FTP test every 5 weeks? Is it for so it depends on I don't know what method he's using, if he's doing a ramp test or a 20-minute test. But why? Why are you testing your FTP every 5 weeks? Is it for a training purpose? If so, I would probably suggest there's better workouts you could be doing than a 20-minute test that don't require the mental load and the sort of the tapering off of training so that you have decent legs for it. I would also say, is it for motivation purposes to see the power increase? If that's the case, I would say do a bit more work on analyzing your training to look for increases and then being able to estimate FTP based off that. From my experience as well, if you don't have the knowledge to be able to accurately estimate where you're at, I would say use some of the online training platforms. A pretty good FTP estimation, whether it's on intervals.icu have it and Trainer Road have it. Run your data through them and let them estimate where your FTP is at. That way you can just test your FTP maybe once every 3 months when you're really feeling good, and you don't have that stress in the training calendar. With this type of training goal, he's already going to be very stressed, and there's a lot to think about and a lot to learn and a lot of things to get right, recovery, diet, training-wise. The last thing you want is a FTP test in your calendar every 5 weeks stressing you out.
This report on these vlogs has been absolutely crazy. I don't know why you guys really like sitting here watching me ride my bike. I don't really feel like I'm anything special, but seriously, this report is amazing. Thank you guys. Be sure to like and subscribe. It really goes a long way.
Yeah, you don't need to be anything special to do a training vlog. It's the ability to edit it and make it interesting, and people love following things. It's really motivating, so it's good to have this series running.
And yeah, let's finish out the zone 2.
There'll be a lot of people doing their own training, following this and using it as motivation. I think it's great this exists. Big bottles, I like that. These look like 800 milliliter bottles. That is good. This Ethan, I'll just use his name. Ethan's going to be eating a lot of carbohydrates, even on the endurance ride. See, because he's untrained, he's coming from untrained. His fat oxidation isn't going to be very good. So even on these endurance rides he's doing, he's going to be burning through a lot of carbohydrates. A really experienced athlete can probably ride around at zone 2 burning almost no carbohydrates. Now, they might still take in a bit just to top up for whatever little bit they're burning. But it's the less experienced you are, the less fitness you have, the lower your fat oxidation is going to be, the more carbs you're going to be burning, the more important, even at low intensity. So the more important it is going to be the fuel. So to see these big bottles, keep the carbs coming in during training is going to be key. Otherwise, he's not going to, especially with that goal in mind, with that training volume he's going to have to do, there's a big metabolic component in terms of fueling it to stop himself falling off a cliff. And good to see. 500 ml bottles, it's not going to do the job. So good to see. Let's have a quick look. So 3 hours, 40 minutes of endurance. Great. good session. So that was Thursday. He did that. Now we're on to Friday.
Okay, y'all. Happy Friday. Today is an off day for me, and I pretty much have to catch up on work all day today.
So rest day. He's going to need rest days. Don't get me wrong. Probably, I'd say just very loosely. I haven't seen his full training plan, but I'd say probably with this type of goal, the rate of progress he's going to need to see, and then the training that's going to need to that is going to have to be very, very steep. So I would, if I was coaching Ethan, I'd probably say 1 rest day a week would be ideal. If he can have his lifestyle and his diet and everything recovery-wise set up, and the training in a way that allows him to only have 1 rest day a week, that's going to lead to a better outcome. So that's the first rest day there. If he needs that, then that's fine.
I don't know if you guys can see me very well, but good morning. Happy Saturday, y'all. Got a really fun day planned today. It's currently about 6 a.m. and I'm headed down south to do my first ever group ride.
So 6 a.m. start in the car with the bike in the back. Initial reaction for this is, again, we're looking at this through a training lens, right? This better be worth it, because driving somewhere to go for a ride. Okay, he's getting in his car. He would have had to. It's 6 a.m. He would have had to pack everything the night before, get everything ready. That's probably half an hour of work, of mental load the day before to get prepared. He's now sitting in his car. He's had to prepare his breakfast. It's a lot of work going in if you're driving somewhere to go for a ride. So straight off the bat, I'll say this isn't ideal from a training perspective. Training perspective, you want to keep the training as easy and as least amount of stress as possible. Getting in your car to drive somewhere to do a ride, not ideal. That's just how it is.
Jeff, I'm so excited. Really looking forward to it. Honestly, also kind of nervous.
Okay, so he's driving to ride with Jeff from Norcal, which is pretty fun.
There's something about riding in a pack that's still, it's not quite used to. So, like, it'll be, well, the biggest pack I've ever ridden is 4 people. This is going to be, like, 30, so I'm assuming it's going to be, you know, a whole different animal. But even riding with 4 people, like, holding wheels and riding close to people and stuff, just still feels weird to me. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm excited, but also nervous to ride in a big pack. But, yeah.
That'll be a lot of fun. Group rides, like, on when he's, with this training goal, with this volume, being able to go and do a group ride on a weekend is awesome. You're going to need it. You'll burn out. Most people will burn out doing only solo training. So having a group ride like this to go to, from a mental point of view, from motivation, is really good. It's just a shame he has to drive.
I think we're going to do a separate video on this channel for the whole day today. Hopefully, maybe it's posted by the time this up. I don't know. If not, then you have something to look forward to. Kind of some tips and breakdowns from Jeff for your first group ride in that video. But today I'll just be shooting the behind the scenes and some of that stuff, and yeah, let's get into it.
The only thing I'd say about a group ride is just to have an idea of what the intensity is from it. Is this a key session for Ethan for the week? Or is this a steadier group ride, just clocking up the Ks, more aerobic side of things? It is important to know that, so he's not sort of going to these willy-nilly, and then on the ride, and then it's sort of going hard, and he's not sure, should I really push hard, or should I keep it easy? Whatever his schedule is, it would be good to know, like, green light, go and push hard, or do what you can to keep it easier. And that's about as structured as I think it needs to be, but it is good to know that.
Look who it is.
So it's now bright. So I saw on the clock there, it went from 6:30 to 7:10. So he was driving for at least 40 minutes, which is, yeah, that's a lot of time. I mean, we'll see how long. So what the sort of you're looking at here is how much of the day did this take up versus how much riding I got done. That's what I want to keep an eye on.
Good morning. My name is Jeff. Wow.
Rolling. All right, so they're rolling turns, bit of a chop off. So I would say, if I was coaching Ethan, I'd say this is an intense session. There's no way he's going to be able to make this more of an endurance style ride. So I would say for Jeff, take the gloves off, rip in and make this a key session. And then you're probably going to be going into, after a ride like this, you're probably looking at 2 to 3 days of lower intensity work to recover. But yeah, you don't want to be going on this ride and not being able to have fun because your training plan's set to keep it easy. Here's the ride here, Jeff's training camp. I can't walk. There you go. So ticked the intensity box, 4.5 hours. Very solid ride. Okay, so now we can do a bit of stalking. So this ride started, you can see here, 8:34. He was on the road in his car at 6 o'clock. So started the ride at 8:30. That's 2.5 hours. Rode for 4.5. Now that's moving time. So this ride probably finished somewhere between 1 and 1:30. And then he's going to have to do the drive back, which is, let's say it's an hour. So he's probably getting back at 2:30, 3 o'clock. So he's been gone from the day from 6 a.m. till 2:30 to ride for 4.5 hours. Now, okay, I understand he's going to make a video, there's content to make, and he wanted to try the group ride, but that is not ideal from a training perspective. His diet's going to be thrown off from that because it's going to be harder to eat the food he wants to eat. The stress of that, he gets home, then he has to unpack, he has to get everything out. It's just, if he was doing this every weekend, it's not ideal. Again, that doesn't matter. If you wanted to go from 190 FTP to 230, that's fine. That's absolutely good. You want to go from 190 to 380, you need to minimize this type of ride because it's too much stress, in my opinion. Next day, Sunday.
Good morning, y'all. Happy Sunday. Man, what a freaking fun day yesterday. First group ride went really, really well. It was an absolute blast. Man, I just love riding bikes, seriously.
And that's a problem. Well, not a problem, but it's a good thing. So he's stoked. Like, he had a lot of fun, which is important. That's amazing. That's why we ride bikes. But that is, in a way, in conflict with the goal of doubling the FTP, because that ride, from a physiological perspective, how it fit in the day with the travel wasn't ideal, and yet it had such a good outcome in terms of positivity. So that's a balance there. And a balance that needs to be thought through. That's not something you can, when you have goals like that you can just disregard. Those need to be weighed up, unfortunately.
Someone is howling right now. I don't know if you guys can hear me, but seriously, what an amazing ride. About to finish up, go to barbecue, eat some ribs, and enjoy my Sunday. Great Zone 2 ride, met some new friends. Thank you, Brian and friends. That was, oh my God. Wow. It is just gusting out here. Okay, I cannot wait to be done, to be honest. But wrapped up another great week of training. Feeling really, really good on the bike. I felt strong yesterday. I'm curious to see what my FTP is.
Okay, so Saturday was the group ride. Sunday is 3 hours. He said it was pretty steady endurance. He doesn't look too tired. That's good. That's exactly what you'd recommend. You do your long, intense day, then you do your endurance work. 3 hours is a good duration. Yeah, thumbs up. No problems with that. Fueling, though, this is where the fueling comes into it because, that 4.5 hour day, then 3 hours, the fueling, what can he do tomorrow? That's the question. And that is dependent on, fueling predominantly and then recovery.
Yeah. Ew.
Next day, Monday.
Okay, happy Monday, y'all. Today on the training plan, I'm supposed to do 6x6 interval workout. It'll be a game time decision. I'm honest.
So going into then the 6x6 intensity, that can work if he's recovered. The question mark here is he recovered? I'd say, if you've got a key session like that after an unstructured intense day on Saturday, and then the endurance ride, it is hard to predict in advance how you're going to feel on how he would be feeling on this Monday. So I would keep this session as a flex session, and then, he may need another day of low intensity work, and then he ideally maybe do this on the Tuesday if needed. The only thing there would be you don't want to do an intense session coming off a complete day off, because I think most of you would know that feeling of doing efforts after not riding the day before. Heart rate goes through the roof and you feel crap. So I would say, if he's feeling good on this day, you do your 6x6. If not, do more endurance, maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours, zone 2, and then do the key session on the Tuesday, give an extra day of recovery. Because that was a pretty hard session on the Saturday. So yeah, let's see how he gets into it.
Honestly, pretty tired. It was a big week last week for me. So yeah, we'll see. I'm gonna go out there and spin and just kind of feel it out. And if we're feeling good by the time we get to our interval hill that we like to do our intervals on, then maybe we'll bust it out. But if not, then we'll probably just do zone 2 today. And I'll see you guys on upgrade.
Wow. Okay, so kind of interesting. He's on the same track as me. I like it. Like, we're thinking the same. The only problem I have is, like, Ethan's not an experienced athlete, so to put the decision-making of doing the session or not in his head isn't good, because how's he going to know if... It's very difficult to make that decision yourself on the road. And then also he's going to have in the back of his head doing the session... like, sort of, when the session starts to get hard, second-guessing himself, going, oh, maybe I should just do this tomorrow. And maybe that question might be being asked when he's 2 efforts in, and that's what you don't want. So this decision whether to do to the session, I would say needs to be made before he even gets on the bike. And ideally, he should be making this decision in consultation with someone who can objectively make the call based on how he's feeling, and perhaps this is where you're looking at some heart rate variability tracking as a second sort of data point. So yeah, I would say wake up, see how he feels, then say, okay, no, I'm too tired. I'm going to do the session tomorrow and do endurance today. Or commit to the session and go out and you just do it no matter what. That second guessing in ride is a dangerous one. I do not recommend it.
It was a headwind all the way over here, so I was just like this. Just tucked in, just chewing my way over here. I said just a second ago, I don't know if I'm gonna do these intervals. You know what? We already worked this hard to get over here. Might as well get the intervals done. So, plan to do them.
See, he's already starting to... Oh, maybe it's a bit tight. Maybe I shouldn't do them. Oh, no, I already rode through out here. I should just do them. You can't have that when you're doing a key session where you're looking to push yourself. You just can't have that little devil on your shoulder. Second guessing things. You're doing it, Ethan. You're doing it. Just commit.
Did 6x6, but I gotta double check. I don't know why I had that in my head. I don't actually know what I'm doing today. So I gotta double check the training plan. Then I'll get back to you and let you guys know. And then we'll get it done. Feeling actually surprisingly good today.
So he's actually not sure if he's doing 6x6, which is pretty blasé. Not like, everyone has different mentalities towards training, but, with that goal to get to 380 watts, you'd think that the athlete or the rider knows exactly what session they're going to be doing 2 or 3 days in advance, and they're planning ahead for it and thinking about it. The fact that he doesn't really know what session he's doing, I'm a bit worried. Big bottles again, thumbs up.
Okay, let's see what we actually have on tap for today. Is this 6x6? Oh, sheesh. Whew. Okay. I got over-unders today.
Okay, so I got the session wrong. So spoiler alert, I went on his Strava. He was doing 12-minute efforts of 3x12 over-unders. That is the session. I'm not sure. I think I preferred the 6x6 sustained. The only thing I don't like with over-unders with a less experienced rider is generally more novice riders already struggle to hold consistent power. So then to have training with over-unders, when someone's already struggling to do an effort and hold steady power, and then you're trying to hold steady power at 200 watts and 250 and 200, it's a lot of mental work going on. So I'm not the biggest fan of that session. I would say what would be better, probably just do a 3x12 sustain, just steady output at upper zone 4. It's also a lot easier to see progress as well week to week. Just if you got 3x12 straight line flat, you can easily see progress, and that it comes back to if you're talking about estimating changes in FTP, it's a lot easier to do with steadier efforts. And maybe that means he doesn't have to do that FTP test if he's seen progress in his 3x12s. Just sort of throwing that out there. As well, because you're not training for a specific target, whether he's doing over-unders or a sustained 12-minute effort, physiologically, at this level where he's at, doesn't really matter at all. It's not going to make any measurable difference in the medium or long-term outcomes. It's the amount of he's getting zone 4 work done. I would say keep that as simple as possible for a novice rider.
That's going to suck. But,
yeah.
You know what? Let's get it done.
One eternity later.
Ow. That was hard. First one is done. I probably won't be filming B-roll of me actually doing the climb, so
Any headphones here? Can we see? I don't see
just
headphones.
imagine me going like, dying up a hill for 12 minutes. Because last week you guys gave me crap. Oh jeez.
Fair play if he's doing this without headphones. Maybe he's got the Aftershocks ones. So let's look at the actual session. Unfortunately, it looks like he's definitely got a power meter. I think he's running a stages or a left-hand sided one. But he hides the power data. But we can have a look. Let's have a look at so he's doing 12-minute repeats. And the big thing here I sort of noticed was just the cadence was quite low. So sort of grinding at 50-ish RPM for these sections. And then when the speed picks up, getting up to about 80. But looking at this cadence variation, I don't know if he's sitting and then standing and then sitting and standing. But it's going to be really hard to... It would be really hard to even hold steady power doing this, let alone trying to execute over-unders. So unfortunately, we can't see the power. But over time, as he gets more experience, he'll be able to smooth out this cadence, use the gears more, shifting through the gears, and that'll make that easier. It is quite a steep climb too. Like this section here, average 11%. He's probably just running out of gears, to be honest, on this, doing 9.5k an hour. I would, ideally for these types of efforts, I'd recommend finding a less steep hill. It'll just be easier to hold the power steady.
Eternity later.
Alright, number 2 is done. Surprisingly, 2 was easier than 1. Don't really know why or how. And we did more power for 2 on accident, but...
That's very, very common. And again, that's a mentality of an experienced rider would already know that. So most people know, if you've been training for a while, you go out to do an interval session. Usually the second and third effort feels better than the first because you're more warmed up, and it's something to be aware of. So a less experienced might start the first effort, get halfway through and go, oh, I feel crap, power's not coming easily today, I'm just going to skip the session or ditch it, or I'm not feeling good, I'm on a bad day, blah, 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 XYZ. But what you should know is that you always most people feel crap in the first effort. You go for the second one, you go, actually, the watts are coming easier. And that's just something to know. So when you are in that first effort, you don't throw the towel in because the watts aren't coming. So that's just something that he should be thinking of. When he starts the session, he starts that first effort, tell yourself, this isn't going to feel very good, I'll feel better in the next effort. And that's a mentality thing that he'll pick up naturally through training, or if he has someone more experienced kind of coaching him along, we'll be able to flag that with him before he does the session.
Well, guess what, gang? We did it. We're done. I'll pop the write-up.
So that's a session there, 2 hours, 3x12 over-unders. Good session. That's a big few days. Intense 4.5 hour group ride, 3 hours zone 2, 2 hours with 3x12 over-unders. That's, yeah, solid.
On the screen right here, time to go home and take a nap.
Next day, Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday, y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in this week. I have a rest day today, so that means I'm going to end this vlog here.
Okay, so another rest day. Interesting. So that was Friday off, ride Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and then Tuesday off again. And the ride on the Thursday before all that was just that endurance ride, 3.5 hours roughly. So I would kind of say if he needs that, he's probably going to need this rest day. Just sort of, I can tell he's not going to be able to sort of fill out any more of those rest days. But that's where, as in terms of a training priority, recovery priority, that's where first thing I'd look is what can he do recovery-wise and lifestyle-wise to allow himself to fill in those rest days with a bit more endurance and get the volume up higher without totally burying himself. That's the place that he's going to be able to see more progression in. So if this was me, I'd say for sure take that Friday off and go and do the group ride. And then the 3x12, move that to the Tuesday and fill yourself out. Give yourself another endurance day in between of low intensity work before doing your efforts. And try and, again, just probably sticking to that one rest day a week, given his goals. He's not going to get to 380 watt FTP having 2 full rest days every week. It's just physiologically impossible. So that's probably room for improvement, but on the right track. As I said, most of the sessions I agree with. I think that'll do for this video, guys. Thanks for watching this far. If you've gotten this far, thanks to Ethan and Norcal for doing this series, and I'll catch you in the next one.